You are listening to the World Sports Show on WPPM-LP Philadelphia. Soccer-based sports talk covering local, nation, and global soccer. Broadcasting from the Philly Cam studio in Center City, Philadelphia on 106.5 FM.
Welcome to World Sports Show. Charlie Flo here with John DeCriscio. It is Monday, May the 7th. Beautiful, beautiful night out. Beautiful day here in Philadelphia. World Sports Show coming to you live on WPP and LP Philadelphia 106.5 on the FM dial. On the internet, we are at phillycam.org/listen. So tune in if you're on the radio and you lose our signal. You can always check out your smartphone or your tablet and tune us in there. A lot to talk about in the soccer world. A lot to sum up this past week, John, or this past weekend, too. A little bit of both.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. We'll talk MLS. We'll talk NWSL. We'll talk Champions League. Let's look what happened on May the 4th, Star Wars Day. We thought the Force would be with the Union, but it was not. The Philadelphia Union lose north of the border by a score of 3-0 to Toronto. That was the lone Friday night game. Other games in the MLS saw Montreal topping New England by a score of 4-2, and the New York All Derby Red Bulls put a spanking on NYFC 4-0. Minnesota United squeaked by Canadian rival Vancouver 1-0. LAFC and Dallas played to a 1-1. Seattle and Columbus played to a 0-0. Chicago Atlanta topped Chicago by a score of 2-1. Houston topped LA Galaxy by a score of 3-2. Sporting KC topped Colorado 1-0. Portland edged San Jose by a score of 1-0, and yesterday's lone Sunday match saw Orlando put up 3 goals against Salt Lake City, topping them 3-1. A lot of midweek games coming up. I know the Union have to get right back into it. Well, they'll play this Wednesday night against Columbus, still keeping it on the road, still looking for that first road point. Looking at the Women's League, we looked at the finals over the weekend. Orlando topped Chicago by a score of 2-0. Seattle topped Portland on the game of the week 3-2. Sky Blues beat by Houston in a shootout 3-2. Utah picks up their first win at home by a score of 2-0 over Washington. North Carolina Chicago also played to a 1-1 draw. We will actually have the goalkeeper for the Washington Spirit, Aubrey Bledsoe. She'll be on the show a little later, a little bit around 9:30. We'll get her on the horn. Looking at the NWSL, North Carolina still sits on top of the table, played 7 games. They have 17 points. Closest to them is Seattle with 10 points. But let's keep it in the MLS to start the show. We want to break down what happened with the Philadelphia Union. It was the lone Friday night game over the PHL 17 broadcast. They were down 1-0 at halftime. Toronto pretty much had all the opportunities. This was I wouldn't say well-rested Union team, but a tired Toronto team, but it did not show. One thing we discussed in the pregame is Toronto had a lot of injuries. They're got backs hurt left and right. We have Michael Bradley playing center back, and they just dismantled the Union. It didn't even have the opportunities. It wasn't even the Union's defense. Just the Union's offense was lacking in almost every level.
Yeah, it's tough.
Not threatening. They weren't even threatening really.
Not threatening. When you look at the standing, it has Toronto being the bottom of the East. Very few points coming in.
It's a deceiving table, man.
It's a deceiving table. They're the worst team in the league coming in. They did play Champions League team and went far, and unfortunately for them, lost in PKs in the grand finale.
You think sometimes that would just put a team in, just put them in like a hangover mode for like a month, but it didn't.
Yeah, well, we still have yet to see that. They did play a struggling Union team who seems like it's very tough for them to pick up points away, on the road. So travel up to Toronto in a not so warm stadium, very
chilly, windy. Yeah, we're dealing with 80 degrees and 90 degrees in Philadelphia. Actually, it was in the 90s almost in Philadelphia that Friday.
Yeah, and it's just the fact is every time they play Toronto, Sebastian Giovinco absolutely he's tough to contain. He puts on a clinic up there.
Yeah, I mean, he was very effective, and seeing Bradley play out of position just shows his versatility, and honestly, it could have been worse. I know that they put in a third goal late. It was pretty much the icing on the cake, but that second half was very painful to watch. I try to support the home team as much as I can, but when you have like zero creativity and just not putting any threatened spots on, I mean, their opportunities weren't even there, even if it's like, it's not even a shot selection. Talk about quality of shots. There wasn't even shots to really even consider.
Quality of shots. It seems like, the recipe that the teams are using, even if they're not a very well-equipped team, is just basically packing the box. I mean, it's the Union's attack points are wide. I think they've pretty much shut that down with David Akam not scoring on the season. And just like you said a couple weeks ago, if you're not scoring, you're sitting.
Yeah.
It's, a couple chances did come. Bedoya with a header off the bar. I know he's getting up high in the air to try and get a header, but you know what they teach the goal scorers, when you want to put a head ball, you hit the goal line, not the top crossbar.
Yeah, you're aiming for the ground.
You're aiming for the ground. Goalie got a fingertip, hit the post, a couple runs, but nothing really threatening. People hitting the mailbag at worldsportshow.com. A lot of people saying, why are the defenders so much of an attack point for the Union? Well, to me, to answer that question, it's just a formation, and then that's what they run. They have athletic defenders who can push up the wing and offset the balance of a team's defense. But when you're not actually getting the quality of service and finishing, it makes it tough. But, I mean, that's one thing. It's the Union can attack a variety of ways, but it seems like the quality is not there right now.
Yeah. It's road woes, and it's I think it's almost that getting the win that they had, that 3-2 win they had was good, but it's like you almost want to erase it and get out of your system and not give you that false sense of, hey, we scored 3 goals. It's one of those things where look at their performances after they score.
That's it.
Look at their opener, they score a couple goals, and then you go flat for a while, you don't score. So it's one of those things where you got to look beyond that one game and look at your overall problems. Look at all the problems you're having on the road and almost break down the games on the road. Let's throw out the games at home, because at home you're getting your points. On the road you're doing nothing. So you obviously got to change completely how you approach these road games.
You're getting your points, but you're not getting your 3 points when you should.
This is true.
You're getting your result to keep you somewhat on the table, not at the bottom, but you're getting your point. Against the bottom dwellers, you're not getting your points.
Yeah, the games that you check off that, hey, you got to get a couple points here. You can't look at, hey, it's Toronto's in the bottom of the table, but I mean that 0-3 on the road is the big thing right there. Yeah, you're 1-2 at home, which is still not a good record. I mean, out of 5 games, you've got 2 wins and a draw. So really, you've only got 100% positive result in 2 out of 5 home games. So really, I mean, like saying, getting them draws on the road, getting the wins at home, it's just that home thing is, as much as Toronto's been playing bad, they've got a decent record at home.
Decent
exactly record
right.
at home.
They can win at home, but to adapt and play a 4-2-3-1, which the Union won't go away from at all. I mean, they can maybe show a couple flashes or switches, but it's something that they don't want to break away from. And it's the fans have been asking for a little bit of change in that department, but I wouldn't bank on it. No. And then just to go back to my all-faithful Audi index on the MLSsoccer.com website, which is my truth in stats and sports.
Yeah.
But, we joke about that all the time. But it's a good gauge, just a quick stat. If you didn't watch the game or if you just want to get a little bit more insight, it's a good list. It's scored based on different situations and scenarios. So basically the top 3, so you got 3 out of 4 Union players in rank were defenders or a keeper. And your strikers are at the very bottom of the list as far as, achieving points. So it's not a good sign.
Let's look at this. Games played 8. Goals for, 6 goals against, 13. 13 does stink. I mean, that's definitely in the mix of the averages. I mean, you got teams at best are like about sitting around 10, 14, 15. So it's not like the Impact, which is an interesting team to figure out, that they've got 23 goals against. But they're sitting right there, right outside the playoffs. But the one thing that I'm really getting my concerned about is we always seem to have a tight Eastern race. It's coming down in the last few weeks where teams are trying to sneak in the playoffs. This may be a year where the gap's going to be so large that you're 1 through 6. It's just a matter of seeding's going to come down the last few months, because I think we're going to start to see that separation. You're going to have the top teams in the East are really going to start pulling off, and you're looking at Orlando, both New York and Atlanta, are just going to start pulling away with enough points that they'll have like points to play with almost. They'll start locking in where.
Yeah, I mean, for the Union's sake, that's actually a good thing, because those teams are going to knock out your line dancers, which are the teams that were dancing around the playoff, which will give the team a chance to actually catch up midseason. But as of now, your Atlantas and your NYCFCs and your Red Bulls, very good.
You can almost count those teams in right now.
Even Orlando in third spot. But your Crews, your Revolution, and Impact, they're still dancing right around that line, and you're going to have to string together a couple 3-point results. You can't just go on and get your ones right now.
So let me ask you this. Let's look at the bottom teams, your 7 through 11s. Those are your teams that are right now out of the playoffs. Okay, so Philadelphia's got to get in. You got to look at the teams above them. Are the Impact going to get better? Chicago going to get better? I look at Chicago. I think Chicago's going to get better. Are you going to be able to leapfrog Toronto? It's hard to believe that you've got a team like Chicago and Toronto that are sitting on the outside. So somebody's got to get bumped. If somebody bumps in, somebody comes out. So which team do you think that's in the bottom of those are most likely to be playoff teams, and the ones that are in the top 6, which team do you think will get bumped out?
Wow.
That's the thing, is if Union's going to get in, somebody's got to change. Somebody's got to leave the top 6. It's not just a matter of how many games the Union can win out. You're still chasing. When you're playing chasing, somebody else has got to fall off.
True.
I'm just looking at the list, and
it's really hard to, right now I see it staying as is.
Yeah.
But it's tough for, you're to tell me New England, who started out, new coach, formation,
new player. Losing players.
your best player, or your supposedly best player, holding out and getting
now
sent
going
over
to
L.A. And they're just stepping it up well. But the thing is, the fact that it matters, the top 8 teams have a road win, and the bottom don't. So I think it's who's going to get that road win. Do you got any teams of players? Some star players are coming off injury. I think that, like we said, Toronto, still a lot of defenders that are injured. And your New Englands and your Columbuses, I think that they're just going to battle it out for the year. But they're not out of it. I mean, the Union, it's still early. Get to the All-Star game within 5 points, and I think that you can get in there by the end of the year. It's achievable.
Just hover around that spot.
Yeah. But I think that, you're going to need production. It's tough to really win games on the road when you're striker.
It's crazy to think. I think if they pick up 2 wins and a couple draws on the road, then you're putting yourself in a driver's seat and just take your business home. But it's one of the things where we'll have to go back and look at the standings from the previous years, get a stat crew on that about the years they made the playoffs of the points they got on the road. Because right now, producing 0 points, didn't make the playoffs last year, had 0 wins last year, did make the playoffs 2 years ago, also made the playoffs their second year. And, they had some pretty famous wins in those playoff runs that they got on the road.
Yeah, your 2016 campaign for the Union, 3 road wins got them into playoffs.
And that's why I just said what I said, 2 wins and a couple draws, which is close to the amount of pointage you would need.
Yeah, but 5 away results, 1-point results.
Exactly.
But last year, in the Eastern Conference, it was the least amount of road wins was 4.
Wow.
And that's really tough to get into, because I think your Atlanta's in, they're a team that has something to prove. Did well regular season. Last year in the playoffs, not so good.
Yeah, they're hungry. They want to prove.
And
to lose on PKs.
Yeah, exactly. But it's shaping up well. I think that there's a lot of talent, and that's showing up. That was marked by the Champions League, the MLS team going to the finals, losing in the shootout. And I think that these teams are hungry, and I think it's very entertaining this year.
Yeah. I mean, one game, we just broke down the Union's game, but the one game you and I talked about a lot in the pregame was that New York Red Bulls beating NYCFC by a score of 4-0. I mean, that's...
Who saw that coming?
I mean, it's hard to say that's really a road game. Just basically they're across the street from each other. It's which subway you want to take to the game. But regardless of home game, away game.
I mean, it's tough, though, in a Yankee Stadium.
I mean, well, that was at Red Bull Arena.
Right, yeah.
But you look at Red Bull Arena, it is a home game, but I think the stat that really sticks out to me the most is New York or NYCFC had 61% possession, but 1 shot on target. Red Bull 39%, 6 shots on target. So you just look at the conversion rate, and then overall shots, Red Bulls have 12, and NYC has 8, and it's just that quality of possession. You look at, hey, New York only had 39% of possession, but they were able to generate 6 shots on target to 1.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're talking 5-minute intervals of possession. Red Bulls only won 2 of them.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the first or last part of the halves.
Yeah. It's so you minus a lot of the areas below the shots part, and on paper it looks like NYC FC won the game, but it's that we talk about possessing with intent. Everybody wants to talk about the possess, Barcelona possess. Well, I'll take that 39% possession because it produced 6 shots on target.
Yeah.
What did you do with your 61 percentage?
That's it.
What did you produce?
And, I think one of the players in the league who pretty much underrated, Union fans hold their ears, is Red Bulls keeper Luis Robles. He's been very good in the national team pool. Some games making your Gold Cup or not your major tournaments, but he's on the roster.
Yeah. He's a contributor to the system.
But he's a guy, penalty kicks, him and Nick Raimondo are money. During the season, he's money, and he's very good with his feet. He's basically, got the footwork of another defender.
Well, that next generation of keepers
that
we're going to start to see, that they're going to get in the national team that can play the field, well command, great on penalty kick saves.
I mean, they also got Ryan Mira as well, another pool player.
Yeah.
So it's, they're stacked
the
up in
depth
that
is there.
department. Yeah.
So that was another one of the big games in the MLS. The Red Bulls topped NYFC by a score of 4-0. Other teams that are still just playing well is like LAFC still playing great. It's one of these things now where we're looking at these expansion teams, and Atlanta also, they got to win over the weekend and beat Chicago. So it's you're seeing teams like Atlanta go to win at Chicago.
Yeah.
And you see, a very good Dallas, a veteran team, only manage a draw at LAFC. So it's I wouldn't say it's a new league, but it's a very don't turn your back for 1 second because the team will beat you up really quick.
No doubt.
They're going to take your place. There's none of that. Okay, look at LA for years when they had Bruce Arena as the head coach. They were the team that was they just took care of business. They got the playoffs every year. Well, there's no team right now really in MLS this is their year. They're going to win it all because if there's a Vegas odds, then you can just throw that out the window because there's no real favorite. And we're seeing these young teams, like you said, like Atlanta and LAFC. Good gosh, I mean, you might actually make some money. Go put a bet on that for them to meet in the final. And outsiders that don't know much soccer be like, yeah, right, a second-year team and a first-year team are going to be in the final. Well, we're seeing this new generation within sports within North America where you have these young franchises that are doing so well, that Moneyball type idea, building these squads.
Right, Moneyball.
And look at the Vegas, the Golden Knights, the NHL team. They just advanced to the Western Conference Finals in their first year of existence.
Yep.
And it's goes to show it's coaching, scouting, and building a system and playing a system to the talents that you have. And it just keeps making me wonder, goes back to this Union team, because that's the thing they've been selling us on the preseason. Well, it comes to a point where you can tell me this on paper, but you're not actually executing it.
Yep, that's it.
It's the execution of. Because anybody can go say, oh, we're going to play I've coached with teams where I was the goalkeeper. Oh, we're going to play Barcelona. I'm like, please, don't tell me you're going to play Barcelona when you don't have the talent to play like it. We're going to be a possession team, but what are you possessing for? Are you breaking up your defense down?
I think that's going to be the name that our new slogan for our World Sports Show.
We do a World Sports Show.
We talk like Barcelona.
Yeah, we possess it all, and then we put our listeners to sleep.
We're just going to do like 2-word sentences, pitch it back and forth.
Yeah,
play a sound effect,
and then you're going for the kill.
Then go for the kill.
Like when you're falling asleep and thinking the show's getting more boring, and then whoosh, bang.
That's it. Then we'll throw a zinger in there. Then we'll say Messi scored, and then we'll go on to the next topic. There you go.
And it's a combination of some of these younger teams don't have the money to work with, but I mean look at Atlanta. They went and built this team and found talent. You find these players within the academy. Like, who are the Union finding? Yeah, they're bringing some of their players up in their academy, but you need a supporting cast.
That's it.
Got
to have it. They got the foundations in the draft.
Got some overpaid guys that aren't producing.
Sure.
Then it becomes a point where I'm paying this much guy, he can't sit on the bench, but he's not producing. There's been calls for example, like Derek Jones. A lot of fans are wondering about getting Derek Jones in there. I don't know if that's the extra solution, but
I don't think so.
I'm
Not at this
not
point.
thinking of it now, but it comes to a point where the guys on the field that aren't producing, you've got to get them out of the game.
Yeah, I mean, in particular, I think at that position, your defensive and your holding midfielder and attacking midfielder, I think that's, pretty much their best players right now in the game, and their keeper. I think Andre Blake's playing well, who, one point I wanted to bring up, which, very good shot stopper, but, man, he was making some footwork issues. We're going
His
to
footwork
talk.
still scares me.
We're going to talk about that next week. Is execution of a goal kick.
We actually got a really good goalkeeper on tonight. We can bring it up with her.
Yeah, I mean,
Just the execution of a goal kick.
which seems so simple, but in pressure situations when you're up and you got to pretty much pinpoint it and put it on somebody's head to not bring it back into your zone. It comes down to technique and then to repeat it. And just
That's your time to give your back some breather. It's like the goalkeeper that makes a great save and the back line's done a great job, but he wants to fire it out. How about hold it on? You got 6 seconds.
That's 6 seconds. Get
Yeah,
up.
I've played on those kind of teams where I'm like, tell my keeper, yo, buddy, relax a little bit. It's a lot of his young keepers want to get the ball out of their hands as quick as they can.
Yeah, and that's one thing with Bono, Toronto's keeper during that match as well against Philadelphia, is he came up actually quick and found us forward on a couple runouts.
Oh, yeah, there's ways. If you're going to do it on a counter, find the right guy and put it in the right spot.
Yeah,
we'll talk to Aubrey about that.
And it's funny that he's putting it to probably one of the league's shortest players at Javinko, maybe 5'1", who can control any ball out of the air like magic.
Yeah.
So I think that's why, but he's not going to win a header.
Yeah.
So at least we got a real good resource to lean on for some goalkeeper conversation.
Wanted to hit up on a little bit on Champions League. We had Roma just came up a little bit too short against Liverpool, and we see that Real Madrid also went through to the final. So
You sounded real excited there.
yeah, Real Madrid, Liverpool, yay.
That's just the Chelsea fan speaking.
That's the thing is, who do I cheer for? It's Real Madrid and Liverpool. As a Chelsea fan, I guess I'll go for a fellow English side. Why not?
Oh, it's tough, man. It's it would be like a Union fan ever rooting for a New York Red Bull or
An
Eagles
it's like
fan,
I was saying the
Cowboys.
same thing about when it came to Champions League. I was like, go MLS. I'm cheering for the MLS teams because we want there to be MLS history, but you don't want the history to be with your rival.
Sure.
We want to see an MLS team win it, and I'm not going to lie to you. I was cheering for Toronto. I'd have felt dirty if I was cheering for Red Bulls. If Red Bulls had made the Champions League final, CONCACAF Champions League final, there's no way. I don't care who they're playing. I'm not cheering for Red Bull.
Ooh, people in New York.
Everybody.
Radio at worldsportshow.com. Address it to Charlie Flo and send him some email. Let him know how you feel. Exactly.
Radio
how you
at
feel.
worldsportshow.com is my World Sports Show email. Goes right to my phone. So, but yeah, I'm gonna lie. I was cheering for Toronto just because you want. It's just a respect thing. You want this league to get respect and build up and start getting some of those more of those imports. But great effort by Toronto to be down basically 3-1 in aggregate and battle back to force PKs. And it's not like other types of Champions League where they play the 15 minutes. This goes straight to PKs.
Yeah. It was interesting reading the translations from the Mexican newspapers.
Yeah.
They weren't too thrilled with taking it that far and almost losing. They were actually very upset that, why did they give up? And
It comes down to 2 or 3 kicks. 2 or 3 balls go right or left, and we're looking at Toronto hosting that trophy.
That's it.
So
Crazy.
But, yeah, we talked about the Champions League. That'll be May 26th. I believe it'll be on Fox. That'll be Real Madrid and Liverpool.
Where's the home stadium at?
It's going to be in Cardiff, I believe.
Cardiff.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's going to be some dragons there. Game of Thrones, is going to be thrown out there. Why
Is
not?
anything in the rule book on that?
Nah, I don't know. But early favorites, it's kind of hard to bet against Real Madrid.
Well, bettors want value, so it's good that they're big favorites.
I mean, they just beat Bayern Munich. They beat one of the bigger teams in Europe. They seem to have their numbers the last few years in Champions League. We've seen last year with Real Madrid beating Juve. I mean, it seems to be almost every other year we see Real Madrid in the final, and it's matter of it's going to be Klopp versus Zidane, and coaching. You've got players on Liverpool who are playing with house money. I mean, they're sitting in fourth/fifth place in their own league. Basically, they're in a situation when they won Champions League a few years ago. Actually, it's more than a few years ago. You're talking almost like maybe 10 years ago when they beat AC Milan when they were trailing 3-0 at halftime, and it went to PKs that they didn't even play well enough in the EPL to even qualify for Champions League. So you have a situation where Chelsea's trying to battle for that 4th spot. Arsenal's kind of hanging around. So it is an interesting situation. But you don't even think about those things right now. It's just winning it. I mean, it's the Klopp type of coach versus the World Cup champion coach. So you've got which one is it? Is it the coach or the ex-player coach? It's so many different stories within stories.
It's tough not to think about it because that was one of the greatest comebacks in
and I missed
Champions
it.
League
I missed
history.
it live.
Wow, that was a good.
I was working a 9-to-5 job, and my company only gave me an hour lunch break, so I decided to go watch the second half and get to the bar and meet my friends. I'm like, AC Milan's up 3s. I'll just kind of hang out, get some lunch, and then I had to leave and miss the PKs. I had to actually sneak in the bathroom, call a friend. He put it on speakerphone next to the TV, so I listened to the shootout while I was in the restroom.
Wow, it's dedication.
Yeah, dude.
Feel bad for the people waiting in line, waiting in the queue.
Yeah, well, it was a work bathroom, so but pretty sure that production went down that day, at least for me. And that's the thing about being in America. It's the best thing that was done was a few years later they put Champions League final on a Saturday. It's tough. It's tough watching these semifinals. I'm like getting ready to coach sessions. I'm glancing down at my phone or finding somewhere to watch the game on my tablet right before coaching sessions. So, but
and just one thing I just wanted to check for people out there who aren't too familiar, soccer fans absolutely know Liverpool, but for the casual listener, just listening, I'm just looking up real quick Forbes list of top soccer teams in the world.
What value?
Yeah. And as of this is last year, this is a 2017 ranking, is Real Madrid's 3rd in the world. And Liverpool is 8th. So they might flux, but you still got 2 top 10 clubs
in the world.
And basically they've beaten out the rest of the 10 in one way or another. So they're
an American-owned team, Liverpool, too. So there's a lot of that Boston connection, the same ownership.
Is there a LeBron?
Yeah, I was going to say LeBron owns, I think, 2%. I actually read an article about how he's made some money off this. So I don't know. LeBron's about to pull off that sweep maybe tonight. Maybe. I don't know what his schedule looks like, but I'm sure he would love to be at that game. But, I mean, it's middle of the NBA playoffs, so I'm sure Bron will be busy.
And then, it's you get talking about coaching with Klopp.
Yeah.
Very interesting coach.
I mean, he took Dortmund so deep and far with not a lot of talent, so that's why he was so highly recruited to come to Liverpool.
Yeah, it's check it out. There's a lot of backstories to this game. There's a lot of coaching, a lot of tactical, and just I'm hoping that it there's something magical, something very interesting happens.
That's why they play the game. We've seen some crazy games in Champions League finals, so that'll be May 26th, Saturday, I believe, 2:45 on Fox. So definitely tune into that. And hey, we saw last year Juve made it interesting, a little bicycle goal. Even though Real Madrid won, it's still great to see Gigi Buffon out there, a legend within a legend, So now you have guys in Liverpool
getting sent off a red card.
Yeah, so you have guys now that are, have chances to etch their name and folklore, especially Liverpool, that to be legends, young players that are trying to establish themselves and be some of the best players. But no, Champions League will be Saturday, May 26, 2:45, Fox. Definitely tune into that. You're listening to World Sports Show on WPPN LP Philadelphia. He is John DeCriscio. I am Charlie Flo. A little later in the show, after the break, in a few moments, we're going to have on Aubrey Bledsoe, the goalkeeper for Washington Spirit. She was with Sky Blue a few years ago when I was working with Sky Blue. And big shout out to Aubrey Bledsoe. She does a lot of coaching in the area. I know she's always offers herself out there for private training. I can attest that she's a great one-on-one coach and a great team coach because we've had her coach camps here in the Philadelphia area when she was Sky Blue. Able did some great drives down and did some great coaching with the kids. So it's always good to get a female goalkeeper coach because there's certain things. I did 2 coaching of goalkeepers over the weekend. I did boys and girls for a college camp, and it's just different differences that females and males, and we'll definitely address that with Aubrey. So we're going to take ourselves a little bit of break. We'll be right back. Stay right where you are. We got our interview with Aubrey Bledsoe, goalkeeper of Washington Spirit, coming right up. And welcome back to World Sports Show. Charlie Flo here with John Decriscio. This is World Sports Show on WPPN LP Philadelphia. We have on the phone line for Washington Spirit, we have Aubrey Bledsoe, goalkeeper. How you doing tonight, Aubrey?
Hey, Charlie, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Always great to hear your voice and great seeing you play. You wear a lot of different colors the last few years, but still the same qualities out there.
Yeah, for sure. I've been on my fair share of teams.
Your jersey collection is growing, I can say, right?
It is. I always tell my family to kind of wait and buy all the apparel until maybe my second year I've played for the team.
I think the neat part is if you ever have the sports cave in a basement and you just want to fill in with Aubrey Bledsoe jerseys, you're set, man.
I know it would be just me, and I would have way too many.
I think that's a neat thing I wanted to talk about with just being a goalkeeper and, you know, playing the role of a goalkeeper. Your twin sister was also a goalkeeper, that there are so many times where either you're playing or you just got to sit and be patient. And I remember the year that both your and I first year with Sky Blue was your first year, and you got one appearance that you're playing behind such a goalkeeper that's doing so well that you want to get reps, but I do believe in a hot goalkeeper. You don't want to jinx that at all.
Yeah, for sure. That's the thing. There's only one that plays, and you don't sub your keeper. You know, it's not like you're going to get minutes at the end of the game. And 3 subs are used for the field players. So, especially in the NWSL, it's kind of about paying your time, and when the opportunity comes, it's being ready for it. And, yeah, you never know.
Yeah, and there's also that big thing, you know, when I coach my college keepers, that goalkeeper union of just sometimes embracing that role that, hey, you know, I'm not the starter, but I'm very valuable. And I think that's a big lesson a lot of young goalkeepers don't understand, especially at the collegiate or pro level, that the person in front of you is not that you're not good enough, but it's just the level just moves up. The bar just moves up so high. And I'm sure you've seen that being in the national team pool, that sometimes you just got to embrace that role and just push that number one.
Yeah, the mentality of a backup is quite different from really anything else, because you have to be ready to go really at any minute, despite the fact that the odds of you playing are really slim to none, you know, unless there was an injury, really. But, yeah, you've got to be ready to learn and work and watch the game, really be a student of the game, because you have to keep developing without ever seeing the field. And then you're expected, right, when you go in to be ready to go. But, yeah, it's something that it's tough to be back up, but it's a mentality that you've got to learn to embrace and to be a student of the game.
Yeah, and just
play as best you can.
Yeah, staying sharp with your game, staying sharp with your reps, and there's also what I think has been great with, you know, developing of a lot of players in NWSL is having that relationship that with the Australian League, that it gives you that opportunity to go down there play. You played this off season in Sydney, and what was the, you know, the preparation, you know, and you even did play some other deals where you went over to Europe after Sky Blue. What do some of those seasons do for you, you know, to help you, you know, better your NWSL game?
Yeah, I was looking to play elsewhere in the off season, and after my rookie year, I played over in Fortuna Uriing and got to be in the Champions League. That was a great experience there. And then this past off season, I went to Sydney FC of the W League and had a great year there. We made it to the grand final, but it's just, you know, you can train every day, but it doesn't always translate to the game. And the toughest thing about being a goalkeeper is making the right decisions. And I'm still learning that right now. And so really until you're in game scenarios, it's hard to really develop that part of the game. And the playing in the W League really helped and kept me sharp through the off season, and I felt ready to go then starting this season off with the Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they say about goalkeepers, is just like you can play a lot longer into your career because a lot of it is just, I mean, guys like Gigi Buffon is inspiration to every single goalkeeper coach, goalkeeper out
Yeah.
there. That you have a player that's like old enough to be our dad, and he's out there playing some of the best soccer in the world. And I think that it's just the things you have to learn by making your mistakes and doing the right things, and things you just probably didn't see. And like, how's the game changed for you from, you know, I mean, you played great at Wake Forest, but what do you see now that maybe has opened up for you a little different?
Like you're saying, a lot of it is reading the game, and right now I'm learning a lot about positioning. Even when the ball is on our attacking half, my goalkeeper coach is, you know, on me about like being quick to be in the right position. You know, keepers, we can kind of just walk and be a little lazy and slow and think like, oh, I'm fine, the ball is not even close. But you know, just the small adjustments really add up and they make a difference. Getting in the right positions early helps you read the game then and kind of anticipate what's coming, assess where the opponent's threats are. So I'm learning a lot right now just about, my positioning and reading the game. Just the small adjustments on crossing can really make a big difference.
Yeah, one thing that they say a lot is just getting to know your back line and working well with them is just starts to eliminate more work you have to do. You know, our college goalkeeper got criticized for it. Said, well, he didn't face enough shots, and well, he did such a great job shutting his or communicating his back line. I'm sure that's something you can attest to, that there might be games where you might only face one or two shots, but it's how you work with your, just the language you're using with your, not just saying man on, but telling them where the man's on at him.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of goalkeeping is organization and communication, and a lot of that goes unnoticed because obviously everyone likes the big, saves, the shot stopping, but that's really just a small aspect of the game.
Now, one thing that we talk about a lot with goalkeepers is the age of young goalkeepers want to sometimes get rid of the ball as quick as they can, and you know, when you get older, you kind of hold on to that ball to give your decent defense a rest. I mean, has any of that changed in your game of how you distribute the ball?
Distribution for me is more managing the game. So it's all kind of feeling out the momentum of the game. If we're kind of on our back foot, if the other team is really pressing us hard, I'm going to hold on to it as long as I can.
Yeah.
I'll roll it out. I'll make their forwards come back and chase me before I, then kick it. But, if we need a goal, if we can, take advantage of a quick counterattack, I like to throw when I can. So I'll look to release, maybe the other way or counter with a drop kick. It's more that's reading the flow of the game. If my team's tired, I'll definitely give them some extra time to get up. But it's more just situational.
Yeah, I know we'd love to milk that 6 seconds, and I know not every referee enforces the 6 seconds, but a lot of goalkeepers will bend it to 10 seconds. So it's definitely a very valuable tool. Just looking at you as a goalkeeper, you have a twin sister that also played goalkeeper at Brown. How did you guys both get into playing goalkeeper?
Started out just kind of the age where everyone takes a turn, and we happen to be pretty good at it. I grew up playing pretty much every sport there was, softball, basketball, I ran track, cross country. So I was more of an athlete than a soccer player, and so I was just kind of good at it, and I think I honestly just got stuck there. And, I found that, playing college or playing in high school, I could use being a goalkeeper to get me into a great school. So I went to Wake Forest, and then I kept developing, and I was like, hey, I could actually turn pro. So it's kind of just been natural to me, something, I was good at it, and the more I've played, the more I've fell in love with the position. But, definitely started as just kind of, here, you take a turn, and I just have never left.
And that's a good thing. So hopefully you're
Yeah.
here for years to stay. John and I, before the show, were talking about one of your saves you had at home, where you had the save of the week. We wanted to break down your footwork on that and why, that's so key in goalkeepers, just the footwork.
Yeah. The corner kick off the inline.
Yep, that one right there, yep.
Yeah. That save the corner kick, I actually think I was maybe a little too far off my line at the point. I think Sam Johnson of Chicago headed it back towards the goal, and it was kind of lofty, and I knew I kind of had to dive backwards so I could beat the ball a little lower. So I think I kind of took a step back, and my momentum was carrying me then towards the goal. So I kind of had to throw it out of the goal.
Yeah.
See on my arm, my body reached back, and I tried to get what I could behind the ball and just kind of throw it out, and it worked. I got it probably the very last second before the ball crossed the line. And then I met my teammate, Cleet. she got me in the face there coming down. Footwork was definitely important there because, like I said, I caught myself, I think, a little bit higher than I would have liked to have been. So I just had to kind of take a step backwards, make a little bit of an unconventional save, diving back towards the goal to then try to kind of throw the ball out.
Yeah, it's definitely something we always talk with our goalkeepers we coach about, the footwork and not getting yourself like a back behind save. But some of the best saves are out of desperation. It's a reactionary save that it's so hard to replicate something like that in practice. To like you said, that's why game speed and game, just straight up games are what you need the most. So, but no, I want to appreciate you calling into the show and thank you for everything you do. And really enjoyed coaching with you. So hopefully our paths will cross again and we'll work a keeper camp again. So I know that
sure they will.
we talked about how it's very good for female goalkeepers to be coaching other females because just the differences in the center of gravity and just things like that and the reactions are a little bit different for men and women. So we really appreciate everything you do for the game.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah.
Aubrey Bledsoe, goalkeeper for Washington Spirit. Little background is she was with Sky Blue in 2015, and so was I. And John and I did a couple keeper camps, and we had Aubrey work the keeper camp. So it's we saw the numbers sign up. Once we put Aubrey down on the flyer, numbers went up for the keeper camp.
Well, it's awesome as a coach teaching a keeper camp, learning about how to really teach kids and what a professional does as far as preparation, concentration, just a whole. That's where you really learn goalkeeping.
And especially for a goalkeeper that has held many different positions within goalkeeper. Okay, an amazing college player at Wake Forest, set NCAA records left and right, and was kind of a journey player for a while there, played in some European leagues, and was only one game with Sky Blue because Brittany Cameron was just playing lights out that year, and did the whole went over to Denmark for Fortuna, and then went to Orlando Pride, and did the Sydney, Australia last offseason, now with Washington. So a player that has been a starter, has been a backup, also has been played games with the U.S. under 23, so has been there on a lot of different levels that I think that keepers need to be coached by keepers like that, not discounting the highest level keepers that have only been starters, but if you've only been a starting goalkeeper and you're only getting pushed and you've never lost that job, you don't know what it's like to be on the bench just waiting like, oh my gosh, I'm not the starter, there's somebody in front of me, I've got to wait, or I am the starter, I got hurt, my back tore up, or I just had a bad game, I just got lit up. So
mental toughness.
So you've gotten all those different things that Aubrey has gone through, and she's only 26 years old. I mean, you look at her career, everything she's gone through, and a lot of it's just staying sharp in your game, staying healthy. I mean, she's battled injury and just to keep going at it, so this is definitely if you're in the Washington area, I know that she does offer private sessions. I highly advise you to reach out to Aubrey Bledsoe. I believe her Twitter is just Aubrey Bledsoe. Hit her up, that we can attest that she's a great goalkeeper coach. If you ever want to get your son or your daughter to coach them. So, but no, big shout out to Aubrey Bledsoe. And, if you get a chance to ever go see her play, I definitely highly recommend it. It's unfortunate that Washington Spirit's 2.5-hour car ride from Philadelphia, but, the great part about the NWSL is all their games are broadcast on online. You can find all the highlights on their YouTube channel. I believe it's the Go90 app is where you can find all their games live, and they do have their game of the week on Lifetime Network. So, it's good to see her still in this league and actually starting and having some of the great saves of the week. We knew how good of a youth keeper she was in the system. So
2 weeks in a row, 4 and 5.
Yeah,
not too bad.
No,
it's really good.
Not too bad. Here we say our careers are the sun set a long time ago. I was back in the 90s.
I don't think the sun ever came up in my career.
It's like, yeah, that's what I love when
Midnight League.
I love that there are people in the media industry. Yeah, most of us did actually play, but I love when I see people on the social media. It's like, yeah, in my career, I wore number 14 during my career. My career can't really call it a career if you never made it past high school or club. Right. It's not really career to me. Means you're whatever. You got a W-9. You're filing taxes.
That's funny. Yeah, it's tough with a lot of soccer media.
Yeah,
who've never played, never coached.
Yeah.
I mean, good with numbers and stats, but to get the real game feel. We're going into that analytics part of
managing of people.
Managing.
Yeah, because a lot of guys, like journalists, can break down, oh, you need this guy and that guy in the production, but you're not at training, you're not on the game, you're not there, you're not on the field. And it's so easy to be that term Monday morning quarterback. It's so easy to say, oh, well, I would have put her in, I would have put him in, I would have done this, I wouldn't have subbed that. Yeah, because in hindsight, that player didn't produce, so it looks like a bad sub.
Yeah, can we coin a new soccer term for that one?
What?
I see
what you're saying.
Saturday morning striker.
Tuesday morning coach or something. See, it doesn't really.
Yeah, it doesn't resonate.
Yeah,
as well.
Can't find that C day of the week to go with the Monday whatever morning coach. But it's true. Everybody wants to be that analyst after the game and the press conference. And trust me, it's soccer's not just X's and O's. There's only so much we can do as a coach. It's the stuff that the journalists don't see is 90% of it. 90% is the training, the preparation going into it. Come game day, there's only about 10% I actually can control.
That's it.
Especially as a keeper coach, there's only so much I control. My keeper could be 90 yards away from me.
I mean, let's face it, bench coaches, their job is to give real-time feedback to the head coach so that head coach makes that decision.
Yep. At the end of the day, he's the one making the final decision, but all I can do is advise and give my piece of advice to my keepers at halftime. And there's, no matter what the situation is, I stay positive with my keepers because keepers can get rattled so easily.
Yeah.
If a keeper gave up a bad goal, 99% chance they know they gave up a bad goal. So that's the last thing. Last thing I need to do is tell my keeper, like, what were you thinking, dude?
I mean, it's, just going back to the youth level, if you have a coach that after the game, go over to the sidelines, have the team sit down and are going back over the game again.
Yeah.
The kids know what they've done.
Yeah.
Everybody watching, the referees, the kids know if they've done good or bad.
Yeah.
If they've done something good, reward them. If they've done something bad, take it easy.
Let them sit on it.
The kids know. I mean,
with our college team, I let him just watch the film. I don't need to tell my keeper. He knows what goals he gave up. Let him watch his own film. And I'd say is let the players, we're such a generation where we talk about the millennials, everybody hands it to them. With our team, we want the players to figure out their make, because if you want to make a smart player, don't necessarily go tell them what to do next. Let them figure it out. Here's what I should have done. Okay, great. And then I can walk you through maybe what you should have done. They need to actually own up and start learning that soccer IQ a little bit.
Yeah, and the coach's job is to have the players coach themselves.
Yep, exactly.
So once they're doing that, then you're being successful as a coach. The right way.
Yeah, I saw a great clip during the regular seaon of Steve Kerr, another coach I admire for the Golden State Warriors. Great player for the Chicago Bulls, point guard during a lot of Jordan's runs. But one of the games this year, I saw him give the clipboard to Andre Iguodala, and he's drawn up the play.
That's it.
And that's the thing is, so much in this game, a lot of people put the credit to the coach, and I think that's baloney. And the coaches control a lot. I'm going to coach myself out of a job here, but no. Right. I mean, we do have control. But the best coaches teach their players how to coach on the field. Soccer is such a on the field. You're coaching. That's why you got to have a captain that knows what he or she's doing. Doesn't have to be the necessarily the best player on the field, but one of the smartest field commanding, like a Gigi Buffon. He's a goalkeeper, but he's a captain because he sees so much.
Yeah, but my philosophy is most of my coaching's done off the field. Off the field, then make it happen. Replicate what you're trying to do, but your preparation is key.
Well, that formation and that starting 11 in your subs is pretty much the 3 elements you control of the game. You can't control how far he hits the ball, how he traps the ball, how they're going to react when the ball comes, or how they're going to react to an adjustment in the game.
That's it. We put them in a position to do well, and that's their preparation.
And I think that's one of the biggest things parents have a hard time understanding about youth soccer. They want us to be that American football. They want us to be that basketball coach or baseball coach shouting out signals, putting in plays, and it's just soccer's not. It's a ebb and flow, free-flowing game. It's a Jackson Pollock painting.
I disagree. It's kick it far, shoot, and punt it as far as you can. That's American soccer.
Long ball Larry here.
Scream.
Long ball Larry.
If you're not loud, you're not doing well.
If you're not loud, you're not doing well. If you're not kicking it far enough, you're doing something wrong.
If the ball doesn't echo when you kick it, you're not kicking.
If I don't hear that toe noise, clunk.
If your home crowd's not yelling, kick it, your team's not doing good. Kick it.
Put the ball in the net, man.
Yeah.
Just score.
Yeah, it's great.
Like the chant you hear at MLS games is, really simple. Put the ball in the net. It's like,
come on, score a goal.
Yeah, come on, score a goal. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's like the cheerleader game. Like push him back, push him back, push him back. Score, touchdown. I'm like,
when I get frustrated at games, I yell, kick it, kick it. They know it. At games you can hear on the field absolutely with
boot it,
kick it long.
You're going the wrong way.
Kick it long near striker and run under it every time.
Oh, Mary, why not? Fourth and long.
No tactics. You don't need that. Nothing technical. Trap the ball.
John's gonna write a book on coaching. It's gonna be a pamphlet. He's got a nice little picture on the front of the kid just towing the crap out of a ball.
You're training his leg strengthening exercises to kick it deep.
John sees in the weight room. His kids have got these just gigantic calves and gigantic hamstrings and just huge balls.
Popeye calves.
just banging the ball,
But that's funny. But we joke about it. But
Tom Dempsey boot on.
we're laughing at the truth. But most of this, what we
go to youth soccer,
it.
man.
We deal with it and we say it, and then. But once the game comes out, it makes a very enjoyable game. That's why they call it the beautiful game. And
yes, it is the beautiful game.
If we didn't like it, we wouldn't be sitting here every Monday night.
But sometimes you can just throw something on, like you talk about the beautiful game, like a painting. It's a beautiful painting, but sometimes a sloppy painting will get by. I said Jackson Pollock, you're just flapping it on the field.
Yeah.
You're just flinging it.
Just flinging it, yeah. But it's artwork. You got to stare at it long enough.
That's because the ball just crisscrosses.
That's it.
I'm looking at Jackson Pollock like, hey, kids, this is our strategy.
How do we get the Jackson Pollock in youth soccer? We said
I guarantee you nobody else did that.
Just followed up one of the top goalkeepers.
I'm gonna create that Twitter account, the Jackson Pollock method.
Yeah.
Just slap it all around.
This way
it'll get in there. You might make a few bucks.
Yeah. That's funny.
It's true, man. If you were successful, think about that. Just get a bunch of just big, huge guys. See how successful you just be banging the ball down the field. Just get ourselves a U15 team, just a bunch of studs.
Yeah.
And all you do is just cream the ball, just crush the ball.
Just all right-footed monsters, just clubbing it.
We know where the attack's coming from.
It doesn't matter.
Our heat map's all like generated for one side.
6'5" striker.
Able to bang the ball.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. We do laugh and joke, but there's a lot of truth behind what we're saying. And it's unfortunate, but once the kids wants to get to that level, and then
glory toe,
yeah,
that's our book.
It is. Then the physical, the athleticism catches up, and then the mental catches up with the physical attributes. Then the kids aren't so powerful no more. They might be able to drive the ball.
Either. Johnny was 12 years old, destroying. Well, Johnny was also 3 inches taller and 50 pounds heavier than every kid on the field.
I think that's what makes your center back. If once you're at that U10, U11, 12, and you can take a ball out of the air and you can win it, well, you just shut down that team's
They can't play over the top. When every team's got the over the top, you can't play the over the top then.
So then they have a couple months of success, and then it goes back to what's the next? Can the other team knock the ball around and play possession? Then they have to play possession defense. So it's
requiring them to run. Then now fitness comes into play. Are you able to defend and run for how your 40 minutes, 30 minutes, half, whatever you're playing at youth level?
So if you want to have that dominant U7 team, get that kid who can just put the ball about 30 yards in the air.
It's true, though. There's no rule against it.
Just take it.
Well, it's almost like the rules are trying to handicap on goalkeepers, that can't punt the ball, you can't drop kick the ball, you can't put a goal kick over the halfway because they're trying to force them to build out of the back.
I mean, that's good, but you got 10 kids up on the line, the build-out line.
Yeah.
So it kind of doesn't really make sense.
I need to dump it over the line and
you
get
give
it out.
You roll it to your fullback, then your fullback blasts it out because it's like a NFL football game with a line of scrimmage.
Yeah, exactly. Pitch it out and then throw it. It's true because it's what's keeping the fullback from banging it out. So it's kind of a love-hate relationship I have with those rules because so. But I want to thank Aubrey Bledsoe calling in for the Washington Spirit. This is World Sports Show on WPP and LP. I am Charlie Flo. He is John DeCrescio. Stay right here, top of the hour for DJ Yard Sales shows coming up shortly. Thank you for everybody tuning in. We'll be back next week, 9 o'clock. World Sports Show. We're out.
Thank you for watching a World Sports Show production. For more info, go to worldsportsshow.com.